Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan video. In this video we're going to take a look at the EZA for the Rampaging, Vicious, Saiyans, Nappa and Vegeta, and the LR that has received their Extreme Z Awakening. Now of course, Nappa and Vegeta are a pretty interesting unit. Honestly speaking, they are pretty cool. I think they got a lot going for them as a unit. Inhuman Deeds category lead of 150%. In Nappa's form, they greatly raise attack and defense on the 12 key, massively raise on the 18 key. They have key +2, attack and defense of 178%, key +5, and an additional attack when HP is 75% or more. Sorry, 78. Then they get an additional 78% attack within the same turn after evading an attack. And they get an additional attack and defense of 78% at the start of turn per existing enemy. And they get an additional key +1 with each final blow delivered up to 5. They will exchange with Vegeta when conditions are met. You can exchange with Vegeta when you reach a certain health threshold. So when you want to turn into Vegeta, you will recover 50% HP. You will get key +4, attack and defense of 200%. You will get an additional attack and defense of 100% when HP is 50% or more. You will guard all attacks for 3 turns from the character's entry turn. An additional key +3, attack and defense of 180% when facing only one enemy. An additional key +3, attack and defense of 180% when attacking superclass enemies. An additional key +3, attacks effective against all type when key is 18 or more. And guarantee critical hits when key is 24 or more. Vegeta also greatly raises defense and massively raises on his 12 and 18 key respectively. And Vegeta's link set is Saiyan Warrior S, Brutal Beatdown, Royal Lineage, Prodigies, over 9,000 sharing the limit and legendary power. And Nappa's is pretty much the same, except instead of Royal Lineage and Prodigies, he has Tough as Nails and Berserker. Now, it's a bit difficult to prioritize links, but the majority of the time, even though you're going to see a lot of Vegeta here, the majority of the time you spend in the game is honestly going to be spent mainly playing as Vegeta. It's just one of those things. Most of the time you are going to be playing as Vegeta, like 9 times out of 10 you'll be playing as Vegeta, because the thing is obviously, 9 times out of 10 you'll be playing as Nappa, because the thing is obviously there's a health requirement to turn into Vegeta, which is one of those things. Then when you do get Vegeta, it's usually near the end of the fight. But I do definitely see people using Vegeta a lot. There is definitely scope to using him. Most people will more than likely be able to get him out fairly frequently. So it's just depending on how you're going to prioritize him. Both Nappa and Vegeta have pretty decent defense after firing their 18 key, and this is largely due to the fact that they massively raise attack and defense for that one turn. This is something that's very, very important, and it basically pushes their defense up to a really decent level. Nappa is obviously a bit better in an SBR situation, because Nappa has quite a few really interesting things about him that make him quite solid in that SBR situation. So Nappa has an AoE attack, it's obviously great. Nappa also of course has that additional 78% attack and defense depending on existing enemies, which is also really good. So there's a lot that makes Nappa really good in situations where he is facing multiple enemies. He also has that active skill that he can utilize from the 3rd turn onwards, which lets him have guaranteed evasion for the entire turn. He can obviously reduce his attack by 50%, but in theory he gets 78% back, so he doesn't lose too much if he manages to evade before he attacks. If not, he does obviously lose some offensive power, but that is just one of those things. But still, Nappa is pretty good, and I think Vegeta is pretty good. Honestly, this unit's quite fine. The issue they have is the teams that they can be on and their linking partners. Your ideal linking partner for Nappa is going to be Strength Nappa. Strength Nappa is a great unit, but you need dupes in them to really make it work, or you need Tech Nappa and Vegeta, who's also a more than fine unit, but again you probably need a dupe or two to really make it work for the super hardcore endgame. You'll be more than fine for any casual endgame or things like that, but you are going to struggle when it comes to the endgame if you don't have a really big linking partner for them, or ideally they're going to be pushed to being a floating unit. Because the thing is as a unit, for me, there's definitely kind of this idea that they don't necessarily link too great on their team. like even with Turles, they don't have like big bad bosses. They don't have some of these very crucial links that he needs. That kind of really makes him kind of function and really do quite well. And I think you need to almost accept that when you are obviously kind of building them into the team, because it is a limitation on them ultimately at the end of the day for them to function as a unit, because their teams are Space Traveling Warriors, their teams are Terrifying Conquerors. Pure Saiyans is maybe a team you can run them on, but then they're still not really going to link up too great, because a majority of really top-notch Saiyans are going to be SS4s or Super Saiyans or things like that. So I actually think their link set, more than anything else in Dokkan, is the hindrance for them. I think ultimately at the end of the day, it's probably the biggest kind of hindrance for them as a unit, at least from my side. Of course, there is other things. They are fantastic against superclass units. Yeah, you can see the difference. Vegeta doing 14 million, 15 million against superclass units, doing 9 million against extreme units. Obviously 9 million is still fine, his defense is still fine, but there is a big difference between the Vegeta that faces superclass units and the Vegeta that faces extreme units. It's not the absolute end of the world, but again, it's just something that I think players need to almost accept. For me, I think it's definitely something players need to kind of work around and function as a unit. But yeah, of course, I do think they're great. I really like their kit overall, and I do think they have a ton of usability in plenty of game modes in Dokkan, and ultimately, I think they are a really successful EZA. I think players who've got a dupe in them, I think players who've got 2 dupes in them, like myself, I think are going to see a very, very top-notch unit that's going to be a lot of fun to use in a lot of situations. I do see them elevating Terrifying Conquerors. I do see them being a nice choice on Space Traveling Warriors. I do see them fitting in nicely on a couple teams. I've already used them on a couple teams in hardcore content. They do more than fine. Honestly, they do fine. It's more the teams that limit them. So I think that's already a good sign for them as a unit. I just think that there is a little bit of a case of, what do we need to, what else do we need to kind of bring to facilitate them? But ultimately, at the end of the day, link-wise, you don't need to facilitate them too much. Obviously, if you are running Nappa, you want to have tough as nails. Vegeta doesn't need prodigies or royal lineage to function, although it would be nice, it's not necessary. So you can just focus on what they have between them. Sand Warrior Race, Brutal Beatdown, Sharing the Limit, and obviously Legendary Power. So you do still have enough to kind of see them off and see them through. It's just, going to depend on how you want to build them. That's it from me. Bye.